Well, a leaked phone call between Donald Trump and a top election official in Georgia has sent the United States political world into a spin. In the hour-long conversation, that's right, a telephone conversation that went an hour, the outgoing US president urges the Georgia Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, to find votes to overturn the election results. Now, take a listen to this excerpt.
The people of Georgia are angry. The people of the country are angry. And there's nothing wrong with saying that, that you've recalculated.
Well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is the data you have is wrong.
You should want to have an accurate election. And you're a Republican.
We believe that we do have an accurate election.
No, I know you don't. No, you don't. You don't have. Not even close. You're off by hundreds of thousands of votes. That's a criminal offense, and you can't let that happen. That's a big risk to you and to Ryan, your lawyer. That's a big risk.
Meanwhile, Trump has tweeted that a protest planned to coincide with a congressional meeting to finalise election results this week will be wild. His words. Could the Trump circus get any more out of control? Is this a rally or a coup? Joining us now is Sky News contributor Kosha Gada. Good evening to you, Kosha.
Hello, Chris.
Good to have you with us. How has America reacted to that telephone call? Now, obviously, people are having a break at the moment, but it could be successfully argued that there were some aspects of intimidation and threats of criminality there that could be illegal. Would you agree?
I think, so, look, it did consume the news cycle today and sucked up the day's oxygen for sure. I would look at it as there's three segments of the electorate, as there have been, to be honest, for the last 4 years of this presidency. There's the people who oppose President Trump, and they would probably see that there were some things said that stepped over the line or, were untoward at a minimum. The second segment is the supporters for Trump, who see it as, they're the people who are looking at the entire transcript, and they saw somebody who was very detail-oriented and was listing out with very specific precision numbers of dead voters and illegal voters and things like that, and just wasn't getting any, feedback or cooperation from the other side. But honestly, I think the biggest segment is people who don't follow this stuff in the weeds day to day. And honestly, Chris, I think to them this is just more noise, and it'll be in the dustbin of history by the end of the week. It
wouldn't have been, or isn't, the only telephone call that we've heard Trump feature in and the political elite go berserk over. But so late in his presidency, and I mean at the 11th hour, what can ever come of this?
Look, in terms of the legal risk or fallout, I'm not a lawyer, but I know that there were lawyers on both sides of the call. The chief of staff was there and everything else. So I'm sure this thing was, in that sense, vetted and scripted and all of that. So I think, where this comes to, the 11th hour is, and that's really the bigger news, I think, of the week, is this is a constitutional crisis that we're in. And the process is playing out. There's a long history and sort of a platform for contested elections. The last time that something of this scale happened, where there were multiple states with dual electors being sent, such that the counting, which is normally just a ministerial process, is actually one with a lot of value and constitutional things that might happen on Wednesday. The last time that happened was a century and a half ago in 1876. So I think, what you might see, one possible scenario, regardless of how unlikely it is that the state legislatures that are coming back into session after being out might decertify or, get close to decertifying different slates. And I think with this phone call, that's what he was trying to do, is get out in front of that and basically press it in this, one last sort of shot that we have this week before the votes are counted, if they're even counted on the 6th.
What can we expect from this wild rally that Donald Trump has promised us?
So I think, the rally is really bringing to life what the electorate, a large section of the electorate, is feeling right now. I would say the country is really, really divided. Anywhere from 50 to 60%, depending on which polls you look at or believe, of the country do not believe that the election results as currently reported are accurate or fairly reflect legal votes. And, they're very angry. So this is going to bring to life anywhere from 100,000 to upwards of that are the estimates of people coming and protesting and basically really pushing that the constitutional process as prescribed for a contested election plays out. in the manner that it should. And I think there's a lot of speakers. President Trump himself might be speaking. And I will say this, regardless of how it unfolds this week, Chris, I think this week will be one that will be scrutinized, and this election really is going to be scrutinized in the history books for a long time, and this rally probably will have a place in that.
So the rally's intention is to try and pressure Congress, which of course is what the Republican-favoured Senate is trying to do as well, to put an audit, a 10-day audit on the votes. The likelihood of that happening?
Look, it's remarkable. Just last Monday, 1 week ago, there was one lone congressman, Mo Brooks from Alabama, who said he was going to object to the counting of the votes and take this time. What's prescribed in the process is you could take 2 hours per state to debate the evidence that's been put forward over the past 2 months about alleged irregularities. So it went from him, just one lone congressman, to 140 in the span of a week in the lower chamber in the House, and in the Senate, 10 to 12 reportedly senators are saying they're going to object to. That number's in flux, which is really remarkable. The reason for that is the electorate is so engaged. Switchboards are melting, email boxes are overflowing, physical mail is showing up, and they're coming to this protest. And that is the reason that that pressure actually is being brought to bear with what you see in that stand. And I have to say, I've never seen anything like this in terms of how engaged the electorate is with doing that. So one path that it could take is that they want this audit. It could happen, a 10-day audit, and we'll see, what comes from that. It could be that they just kick back to the state legislatures and they say that there's just so much irregularity in what's being disputed. Let it go back to the state legislatures, and they'll have to come back and either, as I said, decertify the slate or proactively recertify the slate. That could happen as well. Or it'll just be a bunch of grandstanding and nothing really changes, and then we finally can move past this.
I back the grandstanding. Kosha Gada, thank you so much for your time. We'll keep an eye on that all this week.